Last week, Loomian Legacy finally added the thunderstorm weather after teasing it almost a year ago. I think that whole vote poll with fog, heat wave, and thunderstorm, and then thunderstorm lost by a large margin, and then yeah, we finally got it. But they also gave my boy, my child, Joltooth, a new Soul Burst form. So of course, we're going to be going over how to use it here. This thing's design is an absolute banger. They took my favorite Loomian and they made it look even better. So yes, from movesets to teammates encounters, this is how to use Thunder King Joltooth. Now, yeah, that name could use a little workshopping, but hey, we're going to work with it. Now, before we get into the sets, I want to go over its stats and abilities, and by abilities, I mean it's one ability because it's Soul Burst. But yeah, its ability, Royal Decree, will now let Joltooth electric moves bypass Earth's natural immunity to it. Now, when this originally came out, the description said all immunities, which left people confused, so it's been updated to, let people know that it is just the Earth immunity, not like Lightning Rod or whatever rechargeable from Ikizune. So yes, this will allow Joltooth to hit would-be checks like Gargolem Defense, who was very much used, very popular, still is, and it was, well, really good at checking Joltooth, and now it's kind of a lot more difficult when you go from, being immune to being weak to the move. Now, its soul move, Fulgur Fangs, is a move, 100 base power, electric move, that will essentially provoke the target for, 2 turns? Yeah, 2 turns. So this is a provoke that does a lot of damage, and yeah, that's very scary because it has no immunities outside of, Lightning Rod and whatnot. As for Soul Burst Joltooth stats, or Thunder King Joltooth stats, nothing much has changed here, or not a lot's changed. Its bulk is all the same, and its energy is the same. Its melee attack goes up 10 points, and its range attack goes up 15 points. A lot of the points went into its speed, because, dear lord, it went from 69 to 109, which is a very fast, given all of what Joltooth has to offer. So, well, speaking of which, no, we're not going to get into sets yet. I want to let you guys know, I see a lot of people using Soul Burst Joltooth, like, right out the gate in battles, and I disagree with that take entirely. You definitely want to abuse ambush to break down checks, or like the bulkier checks, before you try and set up sweep in the late game with this Joltooth. And now, yeah, so again, save your ambush. Now, because of the way Soul Burst Joltooth works, luckily people don't really have to change what they already had with Joltooth. You're still going to want a brawny personality because that will work just fine given the tools that it has. Your base ability should always be ambush. I think you should always be ambush, because that ability is way too good to pass up with like overcharged or driven. But yes, ambush always. Punish the switch-ins with double damage, and then when you're ready to soul burst, you soul burst. As for the TP spread, 56 health, 12 energy, 200 attack, 32 range defense, and 200 speed is what I would recommend. The 32 range defense gives analyze users like Protagon a melee attack boost, which isn't really relevant right now, but when PvP 2.0 comes, it will be a lot more scary and a lot more relevant. So that's the point of the range defense there. Now the energy, well, I guess let's go over the moves real quick. Primal Slash, Thunderclap, Earthquake, and Drudge. You're going to want the 12 energy will put you up to 250, which either allows 5 Earthquakes or a Drudge, and then 4 of Primal Slash or Thunderclap. So that is what the energy does. The remaining is obviously attack speed, and then just the rest thrown in health. Now, you can also run Bamboozle over Earthquake, as it does hit plant types that would, a lot of the Earthquake targets, like Tyrex, I guess, yeah, like Tyrex, are going to be weak to your Thunderclaps anyway, so you don't necessarily need it. It's still a great move, but you could also run Bamboozle to hit plant types, because bulky plant types are kind of able to check this thing. Now, with this set, because your speed is so high, after a +1, with that Bamboozle, by the way, if you want to run it, you outrun Boots Tatab, which commonly runs very brawny. And so your Bamboozle is going to do like 85% minimum. So after a Barbs, your Bamboozle has a very high chance of killing a Tatab. So that's one use case of Bamboozle. Primal Slash still does a respectable like 70-ish% at +1. So again, if you don't want to run Bamboozle, don't feel required to use it. But yeah, it's pretty good into that. Also, if you, again, speaking of Tatab, only care about outspeeding Tatab, Boots Tatab, you could drop your speed down to 168 and give your health a little bit more to it by bringing it up to 88 with those extra TPs. Now, for various teammates you could pair with your Soul Burst Joltooth. Joltooth, with its ambush, really appreciates hazard stacking because that would, help speed up the process of breaking down would-be checks. So something like Gargolem Defense for, more balance-oriented teams, or Gargolem Speed for more offensive-oriented teams, or, well, hyper-offense, you could run Barbs on those. Another hazard setter potentially is Doku Mori. And now, the thing with Doku Mori is that it could also double as a pivot because it has the move Baffle. Now, if you want a more dedicated pivot than Doku Mori, you could also look at Yursnack or Lashent. Also, I love how they're not loading in. But yeah, Yursnack and Lashent both double as bulky pivots. Yursnack has Baffle and Fadeaway. Lashent has Fadeaway. And I might be making a video soon on Lashent and why it's so popular in tournaments as of late. So yeah, subscribe and stay tuned for that. Maybe I'll post it. You never know with this channel. But hey, stay subscribed so you don't miss it. So after that, though, like I said earlier, bulky plants can act as like a check to Joltooth. So pairing it with an ice type like Windtrix or Glissadia can help break down those plant types easier. Where are your eyes and where are your effects? Come on. You could do it. You could do it. It's almost there. There we go. No. Okay, there we go. It's loaded. Anyway, yeah, Windtrix and Glissadia are pretty good pairings for this thing. They're pretty strong ice type attackers to help break down plants if you need that. They also hit the earth types that you don't hit until you soul burst, so they are pretty solid options. Now, the counterplay for Joltooth seems, at least at the time of this recording, pretty not great, because Drudge puts its speed tier above Boots users, and its raw power makes it really difficult to answer. In conjunction with Ambush and then its Soul Burst ability. But there are a few checks that we could run to help alleviate the stress from Joltooth. Now, the first one here, Holobunch, if you would want to load. Holobunch here is a bulky plant type that resists every move Joltooth has, aside from that Bamboozle I mentioned earlier. So, Holobunch, I would put this as a stronger answer if that Bamboozle option wasn't there. So you need to be careful with this one, but it can check Joltooth without Bamboozle. And now, okay, maybe if we want to look, this game just doesn't want to load for me. Now we have Garbantis. Garbantis is pseudo-offensive check to this thing. Before a Drudge, it does outspeed it with Nimble, because generally they're going to run Brawny, mainly because people don't want, or not mainly because, but a big reason being that people don't want to get a new Joltooth, because they've had it for years. So with Nimble, Garbantis can outspeed, and with Trash Armor, it can take a few hits. Now, again, this is a check, not a counter. This can get worn down very easily, so you have to be careful. The same goes for pretty much all of these things. They're more so checks than counters. So moving on, we have Soul Burst Florant. This is meant to be Soul Burst Florant. It's a bulky plant, not weak to Bamboozle, but it's definitely better at checking it after its Soul Bursts, because ambush boosted hits do hurt a lot. But it's a very strong answer to like hit Joltooth back, and with Parasitize to heal itself back a little bit. It can be a solid check. I probably wouldn't rate it that high overall until after Joltooth Soul Burst, though. And then we have Setimars here. This would have to be a physically defensive Setimars, as opposed to, the range defensive that we're used to back in the day. This could also be replaced with Behemoth. If they're physically defensive, they can help alleviate the pressure of Soul Burst Joltooth. Now, again, they're not going to be immune to the electric attacks, but they're going to be so physically bulky that they can still take them and threaten them. Up next, we have Lashent. Physically defensive Lashent can definitely help answer Joltooth, as it is a plant type, again, not weak to the dark typing. So with Thunderclap and Earthquake being resisted, Primal Slash is the neutral hit, but again, physically defensive Lashent can still take it on fairly well. And then to wrap it up, the closest thing to a counter that this thing has would be Tundralin, because ambush hits do a lot, yes, but it does have resilience to buff up its defense. The reason why I wouldn't consider this an actual counter, but rather a check, is because after one ambush hit, you become really, you're pretty much forced to heal, but you can still check this thing with Tundralin, but recovery becomes hard because it could Folk or Fangs you at any point and provoke you. So you have to be very wary of that. But +1 Body Crash does 2-shot Joltooth every day of the week. So that's a very big thing. But yeah, if you enjoyed, leave a like. And yeah, I'll see y'all in another video.